Hello everyone, my name is Brendan Snyder. Thank you so much for joining me and welcome to 5 of the most anticipated albums of 2022, at least ones that have yet to be announced in terms of release dates. So these are albums that have been in the works for the last couple years, some of these even longer than that. And what I've done is I've pieced together all the different news segments and things that we have on it, the information showing the development and what we can expect if in fact these things are actually released in 2022, which they are expected to be, and so if they come out, they will be highly anticipated albums. But before we dive into all of that, if you are new to my channel and haven't already hit the subscribe button, please click the button. Also leave a comment, hit like, all of those things help support my channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, as an added bonus, by subscribing, you'll be able to stay up to date on all that's going on in the world of music, just like this, with 5 of the most highly anticipated albums for 2022. Again, at least ones that have yet to be announced at this point. All right, so first one coming in, because I'm wearing the ZZ Top shirt here, it's one of the ones I'm most anticipating. It is a brand new ZZ Top album. Title is still unknown at this point, but all the way back in June of 2020, so going back quite a ways, Billy Gibbons announced that the band was getting ready to go in the studio. And he originally predicted that the album would be out by the end of 2020. Obviously that didn't happen, but apparently work did start on it while Billy was working on his current solo album, Hardware. And so he began sending rough ideas back and forth to different band members and things of that nature. He also stated that they were working on trying to finish a song that they had started writing nearly 50 years ago. Didn't say what that song title was. Hopefully we'll find out more when the album is released, because I'd certainly like to know what song took them 50 years to write. Then unfortunately on July 28th of 2021, the unthinkable happened when original bassist Dusty Hill passed away. In a later update though, Billy Gibbons did say that Dusty had completed recording all of his bass parts prior to his passing. However, I do think it would be interesting if new bassist Elwood Francis also recorded and got to play on the new album, this way making him truly an official member in terms of recording, at least with the band, beyond just being a touring member. But this will be their 16th studio album when released, and it will be the follow-up to 2012's La Futura. So 10 long years between releases here. This will be the longest dry spell between albums if it comes out in 2022 here. All right, the next one, Ozzy Osbourne, title unknown on this one too. So shortly after the release of his last album, Ordinary Man, in 2020, Ozzy announced that he had started work on a follow-up album. And then in May of 2021, Ozzy announced that he had recorded 15 songs for this new album. Now, spearheading the project is producer and guitar player Andrew Watt. He worked on the last album with Ozzy Osbourne, Ordinary Man. And so that was all great news right there. I liked the last album. I think he did a fantastic job with it. But in October of 2021 came an even bigger announcement that there would be guest guitar players on this album. Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, and Black Sabbath's Tony Iommi on it. So you get, Tony Iommi and Ozzy back together, even if it's just on one track. That's pretty cool right there. And you'd think that's enough right in and of itself, but it goes a little bit further here now, because initially Zakk Wylde was said to have not been involved in this. And Zakk Wylde, definitely one of Ozzy's, most celebrated guitar players. But in November of 2021, everything seemed to change as Zakk announced that he had in fact played all of the rhythm guitars on the album, and that he found a way to make each of the songs his own. So even though he didn't write these, he found a way to make those parts his own on here. And he went on to say that he had completed recording all of his parts. He was very happy with how it had turned out. And so that's where we currently stand on this. But we've got 15 songs recorded, guest guitar players, Zakk Wylde returning. I mean, what more could you want on one of these albums here? Certainly, I think this has got a lot of interest into it, so I will be really excited when this one here finally drops. All right, the next one to talk about here, Skid Row, title unknown on this one. Now, after many announcements over the previous 7 years about this album being nearly done, almost done, it is done, or whatever, in July of 2021, bassist Rachel Bolan reported that they had begun working with a brand new producer. So who knows what happened to all that other stuff, but they went into the studio with another new producer at this point, and apparently this guy has brought them back to their roots. They're recording like they did on the first two albums, taking the best parts of the stuff they had previously written and recorded and building upon that. So it sounds like they're starting all over, but that they're building on what they had done for those previous 7 years. In August of 2021, Rachel announced that the band was continuing to work on the new album, but that they had just signed a brand new recording contract with Ear Music and had set a spring 2022 release date. So all good news, because they're setting the release date, signing a new contract. Hopefully we are one step closer to all of this. Now, their last full-length album was 16 years ago in 2006, and this will be the first new album that has their new vocalist, ZP Thart, singing on it. So he's been with the band, I think, 4 to 5 years or so, but he hasn't recorded an album with them. And so this will be a continuation of the storyline from 2 EPs that they had previously recorded, United World Rebellion Chapter 1 from 2013, and then the Chapter 2 part of that, which came out in 2014. So this album, which had started out as an EP, has now developed into a full-length album. It is continuing that storyline. And so we go a step further here, where in November of 2021, Rachel announced that the band will be shooting a video this month in January for their brand new single. Now, in all, this album has been in development for 8 long years, so hopefully 2022 is going to be the year of Skid Row, and we are going to see this thing in spring of 2022 here. All right, next one up here, Megadeth, The Sick, The Dying, and The Dead. We actually have an album title for this one, but we jump back to September of 2020 when Dave Mustaine had announced that after a year and a half from being diagnosed with cancer, that he was clear of cancer, had a clean bill of health, which was so good news of all of that. And so at that point, that's when they began working on a brand new album. In October of 2020, David Ellefson, then current bass player, announced that they had completed recording the bass and drums for the album, but June 2021, original bassist David Ellefson is dismissed from the band over a sexting scandal. So in July of 2021, Dave Mustaine confirms that David Ellefson's bass parts have all been removed and will be replaced with a new person playing bass, and that there was no chance that David Ellefson would ever return to the band. But he did stop short of saying who would actually be the person playing bass on the album. We currently still don't know. There's been some hints, but we don't yet know who that is. Dave at that point did confirm the title of the album being The Sick, The Dying, and The Dead. And so in August of 2021, Megadeth announced that former bassist James Lomenzo had returned as a touring member. Didn't say if he was the one who played on the album or not, but he was coming back to at least tour with them. And then in November of 2021, Dave stated that the album had been based on riffs going back many years, some as far back as his teenage years. And he also mentioned that the band had worked on this album as a team, piecing it together so it's a real band effort. And if you know anything about Dave Mustaine and past albums and things, usually he writes these things for the most part himself and delivers it to the band where they kind of flesh it out, but it's really his baby. So if they've actually worked on this as a band effort, that should bring a new dynamic, making it really interesting, I think. And then finally, after a year and a half of development, on December 2021, Dave announced that the album is 100% complete, that they have in fact sent it off to the label. And so I expect this will be probably the first album that we get in 2022 out of at least this batch of 5 that we're talking about here. So maybe we're going to hear about this sometime in February, get it around, March, April, May, something like that. That would be my guess, but we'll have to wait and see how things unfold. Okay, and the final album to talk about here is the one we actually know the least about, but one of the ones that I'm really anticipating is Alice Cooper. Title unknown for this one, but during 2020, Alice announced that he wanted to record an album with his current touring band, that they're really tight, really good, and he wanted to see what they could do in the studio. Now, fast forward to November 2021, Alice revealed that he had spent Halloween recording a new album. Kind of came out of the blue. Wasn't something that anyone was expecting him to say or do or announce or had been doing. So pretty exciting there. Unfortunately, no additional information has been given, but I expect that it is the project he was talking about working on with his touring band. He usually does that, starts talking about these things, they're in development for a year or two, and then they finally happen. So hopefully that's the case with this. Either way, an album is underway, one we can be looking forward to, and hopefully by Halloween of 2022, we will be seeing a brand new Alice Cooper record. Wouldn't that be great, right? So there you go, 5 of the most highly anticipated albums of 2022, at least ones that have yet to be announced so far, because there are some other great ones that we do know about, but that's a whole other story there. So in terms of related videos, I am going to leave a link in the description to the 21 best albums of 2021, of which Alice Cooper had an album in there, Detroit Stories, his last one, absolutely fantastic. And then I'll also leave a link to the best metal albums of 2021. So you can watch those, get caught up on all the stuff from 2021 while we anticipate what we are going to get for 2022. All right, everyone, hopefully you enjoyed this. And if you did, please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts. I hope everyone has a great day, and I'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye, everyone.